Hello guys, alright, we just chilling out again with KRS1. He already got started about maybe 10 minutes ago, so I'm gonna go ahead and let you guys check him out. This is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I hope you guys enjoy it. I'm gonna give it about 30 minutes. Alright, so soak up as much as you can. And I'll catch you guys later. Thanks again for coming by and chilling out with RAMO RETRAC. Don't forget to like and subscribe, guys, so I can keep bringing you this content. Gotta let me know you like it, okay? I put up the silly stuff and I get hundreds of views, you know what I mean? So I want to keep bringing this good information to you guys, but let me know that, it's worth my while, okay? All right, enjoy.
Do you find a way to
turn this up for you guys some so you can hear it?
Or do you try to lend a hand and help them to get up? This is a matter of character. You know, the United States was colonized not by just white people. That's a lie, too. The United States was colonized by black, white, and Native American people. Not all of us was down with that. Only a small group of greedy versions of us said, let us get together as gangsters and start shooting and killing and robbing and bombing people into submission. Remember, the United States was not started on good ideas. It wasn't started on a more high moral standard and character. It wasn't started on invention. No, America was started and kept together by violence. By violence. And if we cannot accept that, we cannot accept the truth. We're talking truth today. It's the Temple of Hip Hop. The Temple of Hip Hop is a hip hop preservation ministry, archive, school, and society. We believe that to preserve hip hop, you gotta preserve the hip hopper. I am not just doing hip hop, I am hip hop. Rap is something I do, which I'm gonna do in a few minutes. But hip hop is something I live. And that's what I'm doing right now. Just before the show, we're gonna crack our gospel. I see a desk over here. I'm gonna walk over, get this jacket off, get my coat on.
Man, I'm so glad that he's doing it.
And get it popping.
I'm so glad.
We got the spot to ourselves. So let's get this.
I'm so glad that he's doing this, and I hope you guys are excited too, because I just caught on to this, that he was doing this every week. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna keep trying to bring it every week to you. Right now, I think he's in England, and he's doing some shows over there. So we'll see. I think he's gonna rap too, which would be great.
This lesson off real quick. Yeah, man. Matter of fact, I'll just throw this over here. Nice. Nice. All right, y'all. And thank you for hanging out like this as well. As you can see, I'm on the go. We teaching in real time. We're teaching in real time. If your hip hop teacher doesn't look like this, you might have some questions for him in that sense. Shout out to all hip hop teachers too, by the way. I hope you guys saw the masterclass that we put up. If you haven't, it's at the website, thetempleofhiphop.org. And you should just go there and check that masterclass and see what it is. But that's for all teachers of hip hop. Last time we spoke, we was on page 680 of the Gospel of Hip Hop, 680, and I stopped at paragraph 156. Now, keep up with me because I'm speaking quickly, and this lesson is going to go quick. It's going to be a short lesson because, like I said, I got to get on this stage and rip these people down. The place is sold out. We're in Liverpool. It's going to be madness. So here we go. As reported by the New York Tribune in 1868 regarding a bill passed in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, this is where this is starting because when we start our lessons, or actually when I break the lessons up, it is because I know what each section of the gospel is teaching. When you read the chapters down, the gospel does not read like you just read it like a book, so you get through the whole thing and that's the end of it. The gospel is for teachers. So there are sections to the gospel. There are sections to the gospel that give certain lessons, and those who have been studying with us, you've gotten some of those lessons. You've gotten some of the, where I've broken down. This is what this section of the overstanding is saying. This is what this section of the overstanding is saying, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here we are looking at just after the Civil War, and we're talking about a certain character. Our overall theme is the building of the hip-hop nation. We're in the temple of hip-hop because the temple's purpose is the building of the hip-hop nation. We're looking at this specific passage because this passage marks, or at least it documents, when the change started to go down and what happened. Remember, the Republican Party was a party of justice and anti-slavery. People coming together. It was a non-racist party. It was supposed to be. And it was a Democratic Party. It was the party of slavery. We're reading here about some people, black people, and really this is written by a black man who is an official, a Republican member of government, and they're commenting on what's happening right in front of their faces. So this was an article that was in the New York Tribune in 1868. Okay, about 2 years after the Civil War, 3 years after the Civil War, 1868. Here's what's...
Guys, I got a feeling this is going to go longer than 30 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a part 1 and a part 2 so that you can get the whole thing, and hopefully you'll be able to see him perform as well, or at least be able to hear it. I don't know if I'm going to actually put the video on, but I'll make sure that I get this whole lesson in. And I'll make the title the same so it'll be easy for you guys to spot. All right?
Being said, as reported by the New York Tribune in 1868 regarding a bill that was passed in Atlanta, Georgia. They're reporting on some legislation just got through. Here it is. Quote, the House yesterday took another step toward the culmination of the counter, excuse me, quote, the House yesterday took another step toward the culmination of the counter-revolution. That's this racist slavery stuff coming into the Republican Party. The House yesterday took another step toward the culmination of the counter-revolution, which is in such rapid progress in this state, Georgia. A bill was passed adopting the jury system of...
I don't want you guys to be confused, and I'm sorry for cutting it off. He's not talking about current day. He's reading out of a book, and this is, history. So he's not talking about current events right now. He's reading out of a book. I believe it's called the hip-hop. It's some kind of hip-hop Bible or something. Forget the name of it, but I didn't want you guys to get confused. So this is actually history he's reading, okay?
Of the old slave code, which forbids colored men sitting upon juries. This is practically denying the colored citizen the right of trial by jury. For while the prejudice of race remains so potent, he can have no justice in a suit with a white man. You get into a lawsuit with a white man, there's no justice for you. And they passed this law. This is law. They're passing it right in front of black people's face, right in front of white people's face, right in front of the Native American face. They're passing these laws. They're basically taking power here in this way. Look at what happened. This is practically denying the colored citizen the right of trial by jury. For while the prejudice of race remains so potent, he can have no justice in a suit with a white man, a lawsuit with a white man. And the freedman is worse off when accused of crime than was the slave, for the latter was too valuable a piece of property to be wasted in hanging, while the freedman is property of nobody but himself. Did you hear that? The freedman in America, or in this white colonial racist society, the freedman is worse than a slave because at least the slave was a white man's property. You couldn't kill if you killed a slave. And let me get my words right. If you killed an African that was property of a European or an Englishman, you would have to pay that person property damage. Like as if you ran into that person's car, or if you broke into that person's house or something. Just like any piece of property that breaks and you're liable for it, is what you would have to do to the owner of this human being. Look at the sick, silly, psychopathic society by which America is born out of. This actually happened. These are facts. And so many people want to deny the facts these days. Imagine that. Imagine that. Or just don't talk about this. This hate speech, if you bring it up. If I bring up the truth, well, we're not going to waste time on that. Here's the fact. Here's documented evidence right here. 1868, New York Tribune. Let me continue reading. The proceedings was in violation of the very Constitution from which the legislature derives its existence and power to make laws. For the document prescribes but one criterion by which juries shall be selected, to wit, intelligence and uprightness. That was it. Intelligence and uprightness, which is what they call wit. That's all it took for you to serve on juries. While the old system perpetuated yesterday, they say, the old system of yesterday establishes quite a different test, to wit, color. So now what used to be wit, what used to be intelligence and upstandingness as the criteria, now it's just going to be color. Blacks, you can't vote no more. Whites, you're voting. Native Americans, pick a side if you want to continue voting. Many Native Americans chose the white side so that they can get the power. Black folks sided with these white folk knowing they was losing power. Let me read the document further. The Constitution says, the General Assembly shall provide by law for the selection of upright and intelligent persons to serve as jurors. But the code declares that such jurors shall be white male citizens above the age of 21 years. Ignoring the supreme law of the Constitution, the legislature adopted the old slave law, rendered obsolete by its inconsistency with the Constitution. The bill passed by a vote of 87 people to 24 people. 87 people said, we with this, against a minority of 24 that voted against it. And it says, some dough-faced Republicans dodging or voting with the majority. Okay, dough-faced Republicans dodging or voting with the majority. That's white people voting with the majority. And black folk and Native Americans. And that's the end of the quote. That's the end of the article. It seems that throughout it seems that throughout early American history, many Democrats were uninterested in black freedom, and many Republicans, although split on the issue, betrayed black interests and freedom, especially after the Civil War. The immense profits created from slave trading and slave labor were coming in too fast for American business not to become addicted. Even though slavery totally contradicted the very philosophical foundations of the United States, nonetheless, slavery, would be practiced in many different ways and forms for many more years to come in the United States of America. It seems that as science and commerce began to rise in Europe and the United States, morality and principles began to decline. Guns, money, and machines began to replace peace, love, and unity. The domination and enslavement of whole populations with new technologies actually advanced the concept of slavery. It did not eliminate it. If the truth be told, those who were pro-slavery and those who were anti-slavery both got their way after the Civil War, because slavery was removed from public life and public sight, but was never really abolished. Okay? Actually, it was modified and expanded to include all American citizens. Did you hear me? Now slavery includes anybody. It used to be just black people, poor whites, and Native Americans. Now it's, as written into law in 1896, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. That 13th Amendment is loaded. That's what we call loaded. Yes, the 13th Amendment frees the slaves. That's that surface bullshit talk. First of all, let's break this down. You don't call human beings slaves, or no way whatsoever, okay? So even if you say Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, you're not showing no respect to your ancestors or to those captured, terrorized people being called slaves by their oppressor. Don't speak the oppressor's language and expect to do honor to the people who are being oppressed by them. Do you see what I'm saying? Wake up. When you see Abraham Lincoln, they say Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. No, Abraham Lincoln freed John. Abraham Lincoln freed Mary, Diana, Angela. Abraham Lincoln freed Africans. Abraham Lincoln freed human beings. This is who is free, not a slave. How can you free a slave? If you're free, you're no longer a slave. So you got to free black people from slavery, not continuously say that we're slaves now, slaves then, and slaves forever. So you got to look at this actually and look at the language by which you're speaking. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. No, Abraham Lincoln freed human beings. Now let's go further. Abraham Lincoln ain't freed nobody. Okay, let's keep that real. You know the Emancipation Procrastination, better known as Emancipation Proclamation, that didn't free nobody. Okay, as we all know, Abraham Lincoln had no right to free the slaves in armed rebellion, which was the South, and then kept the North slaves with nothing. The North kept slaves while trying to free the enemy slaves and get the enemy slaves or Africans to rebel against their own people. And it worked. And it worked. And it worked so well that not only did that come in, but here's the lie. No man can free another man. Period. You either want freedom and you go get it, or you remain that slave because you don't know what freedom is. No, Africans in America fought for their freedom. Abraham Lincoln did not free nobody. We fought for the freedom. And we fought and won. Fought with honor, fought with valor, fought with courage, and won. That's why we're free. It was going to take bloodshed for us to be free from these races. Now think about that. Because we may want to think about it today. I ain't going to go there with you. But this is how we got free before. When you standing there in front of people who don't talk about this and don't talk about that. And we just want to rule you. And we just want to oppress you. Fuck you. Bop, bop, bop. That's what you going to get from a real black man. And that's why voices like mine are not heard. Because some fake black men are on the TV talking that bullshit that white folk want to hear. You don't want to hear, I'll blow your fucking brains out if you touch my family. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear about Harriet Tubman being a general in the Civil War, meaning she had to kill people.
You're not getting this
Can
anywhere.
we talk real for just 1 minute?
You're not getting this anywhere. You don't get this anywhere. Subscribe. Hit the like button. You're not getting this. Come on.
We love looking at Harriet Tubman. Oh, she freed the slaves at night, and she came across and she went back to go get them. That's the moral to the story, because they don't want you to see her with the gat running up on plantations, blowing the house up and freeing the people there. You don't want to see that. What do you think a general does in an army? What do you think Harriet Tubman was a general in the United States Union Army. What do you think generals do? They just wear the clothes, right? You better wake up to the real truth of what's going on, because once you know the truth, what happens? It sets you free. No, Abraham Lincoln didn't free anybody. Black folk fought and died for their freedom. Period. In addition to that, now you see these folk coming up today trying to relive the old way. And we see how it happens. It happens with violence. It happens with them changing laws right in your face. You sitting there playing jumping jacks and they making laws against you. Now you trying to stand up and do something for yourself, and you can't. It's against the law for you to do now for yourself. It's against the law for you to be a man. It's against the law for you to be a woman. It's against the law for you to get a job. Everything is against you now. And you can see how when it's going down, nobody pays attention. Nobody paying attention when it's happening. It's reported, so few people protest, but that's it. That's it. The law still gets passed, the BS still goes down, and we sit here like this going, man, things got to get better. Let's march, let's protest, let's do everything except recognize the truth and march toward it. Let's do all this other stuff except unite as a people and shake off the chains of oppression and slavery in unity, peace, and love. We can't do that, right? Well, that's why we in the situation we in. That's why we in the situation we in, because we cannot come together as brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, ancestors and elders. We just don't respect that. And those that do rule you. They rule you. You see they racist, wicked ancestors on your money. You don't even think about it. You don't even think about it. With all due respect, George Washington was a terrorist. With all due respect. Okay? I ain't saying nothing crazy. Thomas Jefferson is a rapist, a liar, and a slaveholder. That's Thomas Jefferson. Come on. That's what it is. But you ready to go get that money and cut your brothers and sisters' throat for the racist dollar, right? This is our problem. We got rappers on TV talking about money, man. I can't hear you if you ain't talking money. Now, I know if you a little kid, if you young, that's how young people talk. So we ain't dissing our young people. They stupid, and we know it. So when you're young, you got to say stupid stuff. You got to do your thing, and there's a place for that, too. There's a place for that. But I'm talking about those who, like, you over 30, at least. I would take it down to 25, but let me just keep you at 30, okay? You 30 and up and you talking that bullshit? You 30, 35, maybe got a kid, maybe got a wife, no family, and you still listening to music that go, I don't hear nobody unless they talking that money. Oh man, it's about this money. It's about this money. And when you look at the money, you see racists on it. When you look at the money, you see the fathers of your oppression on the money. This is their note to you. They call money notes. This is their note to you. Nigga, stay in your place. That's their note to you. Ain't no black person on none of these dollars. None of them. There was a discussion of Harriet Tubman on a 20 that disappeared. Okay, God, we ain't talking like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act. What happened to that? God, nobody, nothing. While we sit here and complain about what we need to do and how we gotta vote and and blah 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 blah, and nothing gets better, nothing moves forward. Well, let me tell you, I'm not that type of dude. I'm not going to complain about something and not also offer the solution and move toward that solution. The solution to all, do you see the word all? The solution to all of our social problems, the social injustices, our development as a people, education, healthcare, etc., rests in the unity of hip-hop culture, period. These governments have already proven themselves worthless. And I'm saying this with respect. I'm not dissing nobody and I'm not pointing no fingers. You know as well as, I'm in Britain, okay? I'm in Britain, okay? I was just talking to a cab driver. We're going somewhere we was going. You know these cab drivers, they always running their mouth. They want to talk. Are you from America? We talking. And I asked him, we got into a politics conversation. I asked him, I said, what do you feel as a British man? You've just changed over prime ministers 3 times in like less than a year. What do you feel about that? He said, us here, the real Britain, we're embarrassed. That's what he said. He said, we're embarrassed. And look at it. It wasn't, we're angry. We're sad. We're depressed about this. We're fired up about it. We're going to do something. No, it was none of that. It was, we're embarrassed. That was his answer. We're embarrassed. We know what we look like to the whole world. We're trying to get it together. We're embarrassed. That's Britain on the streets. You're not going to hear that on CNN, BBC, Sky News, none of that. Fox, MSNBC, you're never going to hear this. But I'm giving you the news right here. I'm here. And I'm giving you the news straight out the cab driver's mouth. And not just his mouth, I verified it with a couple of other people as well. The sentiment is embarrassment. It's like, look how silly these people are. And they represent us to the world. Every nation is feeling like Britain. Every nation is feeling, we laughed it off, me and the cab driver, we laughed it off because I said, look, let me cheer you up. I'm from America. And we just started laughing because we said, as bad as it is here in Britain, listen, I got one up on you. I'm from America. Like, it don't get no worse than that, okay? And respectfully, I'm not dissing my country. I'm not dissing my nation. I'm an American, straight up and down. But let's talk truth. Let's talk truth. Y'all just switching prime ministers and you feel embarrassed that your government is that silly. But guess what we got? We got open races, okay? Open public races running for office and getting votes. Hold on. Running for office and getting votes. It's one thing for a person to say stupid stuff or racist stuff or sexist stuff or whatever you want to say. It's one thing to just say it. There's another thing when you say it and people back you up. People back you up and say, yeah, this is, we agree with you. Come on, we're talking about building nations. That's the theme of what we're talking about here. And what I'm pointing to is the character of a nation builder. A true nation builder is not a thief. Is not greedy, angry, hateful. Come on now, sexist, classist, ageist. You got a problem with everybody except those that look like you. That's not a nation. That's not a nation at all. That's oppression. And this is what all people have to shirk off. This is the responsibility of the citizen, to shirk off tyranny, oppression, injustice. Get that out of your society. And how do you get it out of your society? You start with yourself. and how you treat your family, and how you treat your friends. And if you're a boss, how you treat your employees. And if you're an employee, how you treat your boss. This is what builds nations. This is what's important to know. So, I just read to you a little bit of this article, or actually the article itself from the New York Tribune, 1868. Read that for you right there. What are we reading this for? Because we're seeing for ourselves. We're seeing for ourselves how the transition goes. While you watching dumb bitches on a pole, they taking your rights. While you watching, I can't hear nothing but the money, man. Racists are plotting against your children. You call yourself a man and you're gonna allow these people to rape our children, to take our future? Look at climate change and what everybody in the whole world saying, we gotta do something to deal with the environment. How are we supposed to live on this planet killing it? Well, that's the mentality of a colonist. That's the mentality of an imperialist. That's the mentality of an unchecked capitalist. That's what it is. This is what you get. This is what you get when science runs society. Science don't even recognize consciousness. Science don't know where love is, so it doesn't practice it. Science has nothing to say about the soul, yet we all know we have it. We're experiencing it. But when you have a society that takes the 10 commandments out of the society, thou shalt not kill, lie,